Everyone, we're about to start. Okay, I do believe that you have access to the biographies of the candidates, but how I would like to start, I'll go in alphabetical order and allow each of the candidates try to shoot for about 30 seconds or so as opposed to the long bio. Just introduce yourself to our audience and then we'll go from there. So, Mr. Dicicco, you're first.
Talk.
Testing. Can you hear me? Okay, very good. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm Frank Dicicco, I'm running for Sarasota County School Board. You know, it was funny, tonight, when I first came in here today, somebody asked me why I'm running, and it's two main reasons. One is I do have two boys in high school at Suncoast Polytech, and the other reason is I was very, very disappointed when they moved the school board meetings from 6 p.m. at night, 2 Tuesdays a month, to 1 Tuesday a month at 10 a.m., thus not letting students, teachers, and parents be able to really attend those meetings. The other thing is, as I've been out campaigning, I've been talking to people about things that are really concerning them. And something that's come up a lot is this whole thing about how parents have to spend a ridiculous amount of money on school supplies at the beginning of the year. I did some research on it, and about $125 is spent on each child before school begins. And that's not even everything, that's your basics. And you got to think about that at 36,000 kids. About $4.25 million. Now, I know I don't have a lot of time to speak, but do the math. If I'm buying a box of pens for $5, can you imagine what 36,000 boxes of pens, how cheap it would be? So I want to champion an initiative to buy school supplies in bulk, get the cost all the way down, and maybe
Mr. Dicicco, we'll have some time for some rest. I know.
It's on.
So, just to introduce myself, I'm lived in Sarasota County for 50 years, been in Northport for over 33. I'm a retired teacher. I taught here in Sarasota County Middle School for 14 years. Before I was a middle school teacher, I was a certified financial planner, helping people build their dreams. And I was volunteering in our school system, which is what led me to become a teacher because I really found my passion there. I have 3 children whose entire school career was in our public schools. And I have 3 grandchildren who are currently going, and 2 that are too young yet, but they will be. So I'm really hoping that you can vote for me to put collaboration back into our school board and get away from the chaos that we've seen. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. I'm Michelle Pozzie, your candidate for Sarasota County School District, District 5. I'll tell you, I have been teaching little ones from 3 and up in the performing arts, for the past 25 years. So the bulk of my experience is dealing with little ones, their families that treasure them, and the fact that if I don't do my job, they pull their kids. Does that sound familiar? That is exactly what we've experienced in this school district. So I think there's nobody better fitted than me to hold this position. Plus, you know, I'm not just asking for your vote on blind trust. I've been doing this long before I decided to run for office. You can, as my opponent has said, Google my name, and you'll see that I have spoken at nearly every school board meeting for the last 6 to 7 years. Not because it's been in my best interest, not because I'm looking to get a title or a job. It actually costs me a lot to do that, because as you know, when you have a voice and you have a strong opinion, not everybody agrees with you. You need to know I'm 100% comfortable with that, because the thing that I'm looking to do is drive academic excellence, have safe schools, and also make sure that we graduate students that are 100% prepared to hit the real world.
Thank you, Ms. Pozzie. And Ms. Tennimon.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to quickly thank Tiger Bay for making this Zoom happen back in August when I planned a family trip with my kids. I had no intention of running for anything other than PTO, but here we are. So I just wanted to thank everybody for making this happen so I can participate in this important discussion, but also honor a commitment I made to my family. So really the best of both worlds. I am running because I love Sarasota County schools, and I truly want to keep us an 8th graded district. I want to bring meaningful discussion to the board, not politics. We're not ever going to agree on everything, and that's great because that is where great discussion and great ideas happen. And that is something I want to bring to the board and implement policies that strengthen our schools, not divide us, promote our schools, keep us an A-rated district so that we keep our teachers and we keep our families here. Thank you.
We have, I'm going to try to, it's 12:20, I'm going to try to stop at around 12:45 so we can have ample time for Q&A from the audience, which gives me about 25 minutes or so. I have way more questions in front of me than we're going to be able to get through. I'm going to choose, what I think are the better ones. What I just ask your indulgence, try to shoot for a minute or so. And once it gets to about 90 seconds or 2 minutes, I'm going to have to say it has nothing to do with the quality of your answers. I just want to try to get as much as possible. So first question, and I'm going to go in the same order, but I'll mix the order up in future questions. So it's going to come to you first, and we'll follow the same order. Question number 1. Research has consistently highlighted the importance of being able to read at or above grade level by the 3rd grade. In Sarasota, 67% of 3rd graders are reading at or above grade level. The upside is that we're performing 10 percentage points above the state average. The downside is that means that 1/3 of our students aren't reading at or above grade level in the 3rd grade. By the end of your first term, in the 2029-2030 school year, the district's 2030 strategic plan says that we will be at 75%. What is the single most thing the district needs to do in order to achieve that goal? Mr. Dicicco.
I think there's a couple things we need to do, and I think it keeps going back to something I talk about a lot. I don't think a lot of the kids go to school prepared to learn. So we need to readdress the student dress code policy. I see kids going to school in their pajamas, they're not ready to learn. Next, I also see that there's an attendance policy issue. So when it comes to that, no matter how great of a program we bring in to help raise our reading levels, if kids are not engaged, if they're not enthusiastic about it, it's not going to happen. I know we're talking about 3rd grade, but I will tell you there is a difference from school to school to school having kids in the school. So I think we have to revisit what it is that we are teaching our children. We have to make sure that we have the best teachers in place to do that. And last but not least, we have to make sure that the students and quite frankly the parents are engaged, because like I said, I have 2 of my own kids, I have a foster daughter and a stepdaughter. They're all into different schools, and quite frankly they all read very differently. So I think that that's something that I would like to be able to focus on, so we can hit the goal or exceed the goal of 75% by the deadline data established. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mayberry.
Sorry about that. So reading scores are highly correlated with 2 things. One is demographics, how rich the neighborhood is or the people are, and also basically how much the parents help them through and how much caring adult that they have. So to increase our reading scores, first thing we need to do is bring in as many caring adults as we can to help our students have some hands-on help in the classroom, but also to be able to be read to, because kids like to read to other people and they need that adult, that caring adult. Good teachers are also extremely important, and good teachers need to be supported. So helping to support and recruit our good teachers is important. But I saw a really interesting graph the other day, and it tracked based on our schools, and actually based on schools nationally, how well our students should be able to read relative to the demographics here in Sarasota County versus how well their scores actually did compare. And it was amazing to me, our local public schools beat almost every single one of our local charter schools in terms of their scores.
Ms. Pozzie.
Thank you, Frank. So this is an issue that we've been talking about at the school board room, engaged parents and community members for quite a while. I think it's nice that we've made some progress, but here's the thing. If you go further into those statistics and you look at the numbers of how we graduate students, we are still graduating 12th grade seniors at about a 37% proficiency rate in literacy in our schools. So what does that tell me when they're going into a real job? Because we know that from grades 1 to 3, students learn to read. From grades 4 and up, they read to learn. So if you don't get that child by 3rd grade, you're actually setting them up to have an entire educational career that is going to suffer. So what I've already done, I've been very proactive about this long before I decided to run. I've been working with the state legislature on an idea that Mississippi first had as a success, the Mississippi Miracle. I want you to think, they were rated 49th, and again, you want to talk about demographics. Mississippi is not a wealthy state, and they are a purple state, so this isn't even a political issue. They went from 49th in literacy to 4th in the nation in just under 6 years. Their legislature enacted policies that said we're not going to just pass the buck from 3rd to 4th grade, and they also heightened the amount of resources they gave each school district. That's what I'm working with our state legislature on now. I think we'll be able to do it this first year.
Thank you. Ms. Tennimon.
Yes, reading scores and reading proficiency is super important, not just for 3rd grade, but throughout a child's entire academic career. And I did a video on this on my social media a few weeks ago, and the most amazing thing happened. I received an email from Dr. Tanis Knopp, who used to run the Rockin' Reader program and take care of all of the reading and coordinating of all of the trainings throughout the district. That was her job. She reached out to me, and we have a plan to recreate this program, to train individuals on how to successfully read with a child, because we know that one-on-one interaction with a student is how we are going to increase their reading scores. It's also going to do other things. It's going to increase their mental health. It's going to make them want to come to school. That one-on-one interaction with a caring adult is how we are going to successfully hit every single student. And Dr. Knopp and I are not just focusing on kindergarten, which is really where Rockin' Reader is concentrated right now. We are going to train volunteers in middle school as well. So those students can successfely delve into a text and comprehend answers that might be on a test. So also they can do note-taking and have all the skills that are going to prepare them so they're not falling behind once they get to high school. So my initiative is bringing back all of those volunteer programs that got pushed to the wayside and pushed to our community partners and bringing them back into our schools. And Dr. Knopp and I are already working on that together, and I'm really, really excited about it.
And stay tuned, next question in reverse order is going to you. I think now that we've had a round of introductions, we're all friends now, so I'm going to shift over to first names. I'll make it a little easier for myself. Also, just to clarify that Frank and Megan are running for the seat in District 4. Beth and Michelle are running for the seat in District 5. So, next question, and we'll start with you, Megan, and then we'll go to Frank, and then we'll go to the District 5 candidates. In November, the board unanimously approved the district's future-focused strategic initiative, which was part of Florida Schools' Schools of Hope program that highlighted over 5,600 underutilized seats across the district. Can you share your opinion on the Schools of Hope program, whether the district should have or needed to respond, and what is your opinion of the elements of this initiative? Megan.
Well, to answer the first part of the question, I was so impressed and so proud of how our school board and our district handled that. We went from thinking schools were going to close to repurposing several schools from K through 5 to K through 8. And I know that several parents were concerned about that, but at the school board meeting on Tuesday, Mr. Connor shared that all of those programs, the K through 8s, are the enrollment rate for 6th grade is exceeding our expectations. So I think that repurposing those was exactly the right thing to do. Like I said, I am a huge supporter of Sarasota County schools. We need to keep our schools the way they are. We are not in an underserved community. We have A-rated schools. We do not need to have charter schools come in, utilize our buildings, and where are those students going to be coming from? They're going to be coming from our county schools. So I fully support keeping schools of hope out of our district and continuing with the momentum that our school board and our superintendent have started by repurposing those underutilized schools and also creating more programs such as the Junior Achievement and the Gulf Coast Academy that are attracting students back into the district.
Yes.
So after reviewing what Megan said, I was against the idea of charter schools that are coming into our county and getting to be here for free. That's not acceptable at all. I'm glad that Terry Connor, our board, stood up to them right away. In fact, really quickly, so it didn't start and we have to unwind. So it's a very short answer. I'm very much in favor of what they did. And should I be elected, I will definitely wind up making sure that I am going forward that if this ever comes up again. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Beth.
So, first of all, I just have to say I'm appalled that this even was legislated. I know that it was voted down in the legislature and then snuck into the budget bill at the last minute. The second thing I'm appalled by is the fact that our legislators didn't do anything about it. We had not exactly a perfect fix, but we had some fix going on in the Senate Bill 318 that was passed by the Senate. But when I asked our three House representatives, they basically told me, well, they didn't have time to get it fixed. And I didn't hear they didn't have time. What I heard was, our students are not a priority to them. This is a massive safety issue. There were no restrictions on what kinds of students could be coming into our schools. It didn't say that if it was an elementary school, it had to be an elementary charter school. It basically indicated that the schools that owned the buildings, our public schools, had to set up a schedule where those schools could use our resources, could use our gyms and our cafes and all of the resources that we had, and there was no regulation or ability to coordinate with the existing administration. So I see this as a massive problem. I'm ecstatic that we were able to get ahead of it. We were very lucky because we did have such quick thinking by our superintendent, but it is something that needs to be addressed and it needs to be fixed. I don't think anybody here really wants elementary school kids with high school kids.
Thank you. Michelle.
Yeah, so I think I'll start here. Why did people once think that we needed a thing called Schools of Hope? Well, what you need to know is that you as taxpayers who fund every building we have in this district, you turn the lights on for every building we have in this district, you mow every lawn with your tax dollars, do you want to see that investment sitting at 60% occupancy? Think about that. Some people have said this is like Lowe's allowing Home Depot to come in free of charge. Well, if I own Lowe's and Home Depot, honestly, what difference does it make to me? Are we not educating every student every day? Or are we only educating every student who goes to a building that I agree is only public school? Is that really how we're thinking of education? This is the thinking that got us into the position that we're in right now. I have lived and studied educational trends for over 20 years. We should have seen this coming. And for everybody who has fought school choice, school vouchers, anything with Schools of Hope, you're actually contributing to the problem because we need to engage in this conversation. I have a great relationship with our educators in Tallahassee, with our representatives in Tallahassee. Many of them whose children go to public schools, they have the heart of children in their heart. They're not doing anything devious. I think what they wanted to do might have worked in Miami, doesn't work in Sarasota, and this is why you have to engage your representatives properly, because you can't legislate from the state, for the entire state, when it doesn't fit your district.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go reverse order, starting in District 5, and so the next question is coming right back at you.
Michelle will stay a little bit on the money issue. The district's 2025-26 budget book noted that the primary fiscal challenge facing the district is the expansion of the Family Empowerment Scholarship Program, with Sarasota County families utilizing a projected $45 million in scholarships for the school year. What is your opinion of the scholarship program, and what, within that framework, is your message to voters who utilize the scholarship? Michelle.
I love that. First of all, let me just let you know, my children attended public school, charter school, homeschool, early college, and dual enrollment. So you're not going to find anybody who's more well-versed in what we call school choice. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not here to demonize a program or a parent for choosing what they want for their child's education. Our school budget is not infringed on people deciding that they want to go somewhere else for an education. Our school budget issue is why do those people want to go somewhere else? And I'll tell you, take a long, hard look at the last 7 years. I've got a couple parents who are my guests here today who took time off of work to be here. And they can tell you firsthand what's going on in our school district in the last 6 years that has disenfranchised many families. We have seen the repeated disenrollment of student after student over the last 6 years. You had to have your head in the sand to not see that we were losing students. And what did we do about it? We continue to increase our spending. So anybody in this room who has to live within a budget understands we can do this. But demonizing parents, you know, you can't say you don't like monopolies and then force people into only one monopoly that you're okay with called public school. Public school is publicly funded. So when people take their tax dollars to go educate their child, it's actually an expansion of school choice. I'm not going to demonize those parents. I'm going to make us the most successful in our district, so we are your first choice.
Beth.
So let me say that Sarasota County has a great school choice program. We have a ton of programs for our kids. What we have in our public schools, first of all, as a board member, our job is to protect our public schools. Second, is that our public schools have about 1,600 pages of regulations, mandates, and things we have to do that are mandated coming down from Tallahassee. Our for-profit schools have less than 60. So that is a big deal because we are not playing on the same playing field. Okay? Things have to be fair. If Florida wants a voucher system, and that's fine if the taxpayers want to pay for a voucher system, they should be putting that voucher money in a separate income stream than what we are seeing through public school. Because as a taxpayer, I value transparency. I want to know what my money bought, and I want to be able to compare what did my money buy, how many people were educated, and how well were they educated. And we do not have that in the current system. So transparency is key. Divide that money into two income streams. Secondly, I know people talk about how many kids we lost. We lost 1,800 kids out of our public school system. 3,000 kids who were never in our public school system, whose parents were wealthy enough to pay for private school, they're the ones that took the bulk of the money away. So we lost about 5% of our kids in coming to our public schools, but the bulk of the money went to people whose parents were wealthy enough to pay for their private education.
So I think we have to look at it a couple of different ways. First of all, school choice was a great idea because if you had a child that was good, let's say, in athletics and football, you want them to go to Venice High. If you had somebody who was good in a different option, they want to go to a different school, and so on and so forth. And school choice is a big thing. Now, to go on with that, this voucher program went off the rails. It was a good idea to help kids who wanted to go to a private school and their parents couldn't afford it. But unfortunately, the income caps came off. And I think that's the biggest problem. So kids that were never in our public school system, parents were paying for them to go to a private school, now started getting checks for approximately $8,000 per child. You know, that's not really okay, and then some of the private schools I heard have even raised their tuition because now there's all this money available. Not how it's supposed to be, guys. And I don't care if that's popular with whoever. That's not the way it was supposed to be. So by eliminating those income caps, you've now created an issue. Now, let's go a step further. We have people also homeschool their kids getting paid a voucher for that. What nobody can answer is if those kids from a private school or those kids from a homeschool situation go back to the public schools, do we get any of that money back?
No.
And if we do, can anybody find it? Because I'll tell you right now, nobody's been able to show me what is the mechanism to say, okay, you got $24,000 for 3 kids, they're back in our school system, we want our money back. And we cannot find it. So I think that's what's gone wrong with the program. So on one side, it was a great idea, on one side, it wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Megan.
Thank you. Everybody has brought up amazing and very, very valid points, and I agree with all of them. The voucher program was intended for students who were falling through the cracks. Those students were not thriving in our traditional public schools, and there are many private entities in our community that serve those students very successfully. And some of them that do it without charging tuition on top of that. That is what the program was intended for. I agree with Frank, when the income cap was taken off, we saw a lot of the funds being diverted to students who were already in our private schools. So, what do we do about that? Well, we tell all of our families, you don't need to leave. We have everything you need here in Sarasota County. We are a district of choice. I've already started working on my team to promote starting at the middle school level. We have created a family-centered program finder where you can look at different values you want for your child, different experiences you want for your child, and by process of elimination, you found, oh, my child will thrive best at Pineview, or my child will thrive best at McIntosh Middle. Point being, we are a district of choice. We have everything for every single learner, and all public school advocates want is an income cap back on the voucher program and some clearer guidelines onto how that money can be used. Because we are not one size fits all. Some kids are going to need a smaller setting and some extra help.
Thank you, Megan. Okay. Next question, we'll go back to the original order. So the order of response is going to be Frank, Megan, Beth, and Michelle. The question: a common refrain from candidates, board members, and some community members is that the school board needs to be far less politicized and that the rhetoric surrounding it needs to be toned down. However, it seems that the politicization of the board, and by extension, the school system, continues from both sides. What's your perspective on the temperature and the politicization of the school board, and what, if anything, would you do to change it? Frank.
So we all talk about it, every candidate has been talking about getting politics out of the school board. None of us are on the board right now, and none of the current board members are running for re-election. So it is a great time to start from scratch and make sure that we do take the politics out of it. Now, people say, how are you going to do that? Oh, really? So-and-so's are on the right, so-and-so's on the left. But you know what? If we take those talking points away, which really in a lot of cases do not pertain to students, teachers, and parents, and focus on that, rather than what I see at those board meetings, and for those of you that have attended them, you've seen it too, there's no reason for this. We need to be respectful for each other. There's a golden rule of talking to people the way you should be spoken to. I'd like to see people ask questions and not keep bringing up ridiculous stuff from the past. That's over. Let's turn the page. Let's look at it as a new start. And regardless of what somebody's affiliation is politically, it doesn't mean they have to go there and behave that way. I will tell you, I've lived in Sarasota for 30 years. People know me, and I don't get told what to do, ever, because I won't. I'm going to do what I think is right. And sometimes people don't like that, but you know what? Too bad, so sad. And I think that if we could get a board of people who are willing to put those politics aside and work together and stop bringing up the past and start fresh, I think we can have a great 4 years coming up. And I want to be able to champion that as much as possible. And lastly, I did work actually as a volunteer for Sarasota County Court System as a licensed mediator. I learned a lot about conflict resolution. And I got to tell you something, that is a trait that I really do cherish, and I want to bring all of that experience to the board as well. Thank you.
Frank, Megan.
Yes, it goes both ways. As several of us have seen while attending school board meetings, on both sides of the dais, there's been really inappropriate conduct. I pride myself on being extremely professional and calm, and as an elected official, it is my job to listen to those who elected me and bring forth policy and discussion based on those conversations. When you hear me speak at a school board meeting, those are based on conversations I've had with our community, what our community wants and what our community needs. And the number one thing that our community has been telling me is communication, transparency, decency, and calmness. That's all we want on our board. We want active discussion. We want individuals who can have and participate in a back and forth without blaming politics and without blaming things that happened in the past, and continue to move forward and focus on what we're really here for, which is our teachers and our students.
Thank you, Megan. Beth?
Interesting question, of course. What I would say is this. The school board is supposed to serve the community and actively work to improve our public school system. If our board members don't recognize that that's their job, that is where the politics come in. We have to do the very best and focus on our children at every instance. And we need to look at real facts. We shouldn't be bringing in stuff that happens nebulously somewhere out there in the internet world that we actually aren't experiencing in our own schools. So I think if you are constantly focusing on what is true here, what is in the best interests of our students, and transparency to our public, because we're not going to be able to solve the problems we've got without our community. If you can focus on that transparency, I think that you're going to get a much better board. I would also caution, though, when we talk about politics, we're really kind of talking about partisanship, because politics is out there. We're talking about being partisans and acting in partisan ways. So I think that the collaboration that we need to do means we have to leave our partisanship at the boardroom door when we walk in.
Thank you, Beth. Michelle?
Yes, so this is an elected position. Elections are political. I have every intention of debating healthy policy as somebody that you respect and that you put on that board dais. To not do that would be to not do my job. But if we're going to sit here and honestly talk about transparency, then let's start with informing voters on exactly what party affiliation, what party is behind each candidate that you see before you. Because the Democrat Party has listed people that they support, so has the Republican Party. Why do we not tell the voters? I mean, if you want true transparency, it really starts there. The second thing is talking about the past. Listen, all of our teachers, you get judged on your past every year when you go through your evaluation. And lots of times your pay the next year determines how you did. Students, you get judged on your past every year, every semester. I'm not above reproach as a board member. You should absolutely judge this board based on what's happened in the past. You cannot tell me to not bring politics into that boardroom but mask children. You can't tell me to not bring politics into that boardroom and then do gender guidelines that were never brought before you for a vote. You can't tell me to not bring politics into that boardroom and still tell our children we have ICE officials that are masked and ready to come into the school. Yeah, I'm going to push back on that and stop.
Okay, actually, moderator's discretion, I'm going to throw in, because you brought it up, a question. I would just like a yes or no answer. And the context is that while our school board elections are nonpartisan in name, in reality, they're hyper-partisan. My question is, would you prefer these elections to be like any other partisan election with the R's and D's in front of the name? Yes or no?
100% yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
There we go. Okay.
Our kids are not partisans.
I'm going to ask one more question before I turn it over to audience questions, not because I have a lack of questions or issues that would be interesting to discover. I lack the 2 or 3 hours to do that. So I'm going to just choose what I think is the most interesting question remaining on my docket.
and we're going to go in reverse order. And so Michelle, coming to you, we'll just go right back the way that we did it before. The question, give us an example of an issue that has received too much attention at the school board and an issue that has received too little. What would you do to address the latter?
Oh my gosh, the issue that's received too much is Bridget Ziegler, who's not even running for office. I would love to hear stances on how people feel about policy, but not somebody who's sitting on the school board who's not even running again. I actually had somebody, I think it was my opponent, who stood here during the District 1 debate, and that was her one question that she asked the entire panel is, how will you be different from Bridget Ziegler? For one, that's not my name. You can't tell me that you're all about identity politics and then not know that I'm not that person. I think that's the biggest misnomer, and trust me, teachers, families, students, they're watching and they're tired of that circus. And the second thing that I think that I would like to see talked about more is academics. When you look at our school board agendas, we should have more bullet points, not just on, spending and contracts, yes, but education driven. That is our job.
Thank you. Beth.
So an issue that's been given too much talk lately is what happened 5 years ago. Because nobody can change that. It's done. We're moving forward. An issue that needs to be addressed that I don't think gets enough talk is bullying, because our kids have a real problem with that, and we need to figure out how to combat that, and it's a real challenge. So that would be the one issue I think is most important.
Right.
So my biggest issue is when you, as a board member, make a decision, the board agreed to move the board meeting times from 6 p.m. on 2 Tuesday nights a month to 10 a.m. on 1 Tuesday morning a month. You know, I didn't like that idea at all. Furthermore, it created nothing but problems. So what happened from there? We then have kids cutting school. So now we're making resolutions and resolutions on top, and on and on and on and on and on. That can't happen. You know, I'll bring up a quick thing. The Sarasota County Commission voted to allow Mike Moran, our tax collector, to keep $2 million of the school board's money through some ridiculous interpretation. But when they realized how wrong it was, they had a board meeting and they rescinded it. I think any board, regardless of your party affiliation, if you make a decision as a board and it turns out to be wrong, have the guts to stand up and say, you know, we made a mistake, and change it. That's something I would like to see, and I saw it unbelievably. I was so grateful we saw it at the Sarasota County Commission. Now, I started talking before about school supplies, and I don't have a lot of time to talk about this, but I'm shocked that a family of 3 is going to spend between $300 to $400 for school supplies retail at Target or Walmart, and on that list it states, oh, please keep your receipts because your students may not need it. So we're loaning Target and Walmart money. This is insanity. We should be able to buy everything at bulk, and students should, or their parents should not have to pay for student school supplies, and it can be done with a budget as large as ours, without cutting teachers, without cutting counselors, without cutting mental health. There's other ways. If you look at the budget, it's very glaringly obvious. So I want to champion that. That's something that's never been talked about, because I never heard about it, because quite frankly, I didn't even realize it until it was told to me a few weeks ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. And Megan, you will have the last word on the initial round of questions.
Okay, thank you. In the past several months, years, we have focused way too much time on resolutions that have not done anything to increase academics, our teacher well-being, our student well-being, or the overall climate of our district and our school board. Too often, we don't talk about math scores. We are so focused on reading. But as a student, a child who struggled with math phobia and still struggle with it, our math scores and our students who struggle with math deserve just as much attention as our ones that are struggling with reading.
Thank you, Megan. All right. At this point, I would welcome audience members to come up. We have one microphone here. Please form a clean line. And my understanding, unless there's something changed, our policy at Tiger Bay is you need to be an active Tiger Bay member to ask a question. Go ahead, David.
It's on.
One, two, three. I'm Dan Bailey. I'm a member. I'm a proud graduate of Southside Elementary. And My question is, 4 years ago, the public was quite surprised to have at the first board meeting following the election, termination of the school superintendent. Do you anticipate at the first meeting you attend, there will be a motion made to maybe make a seismic change in policy or terminate any personnel?
I would say that we do expect that we will probably change the meeting times, but that's probably the most seismic thing that we would do at the beginning.
And that was for everybody.
Is your name Dan? Dan? Okay. So I like that question. It was important that we, first of all, no, I don't anticipate any big things other than the meeting time change, but I think it's important that you understand, this was even spoken about in this last school board meeting, that one of the reasons why we had to do that, why the board decided to let go of Dr. Asplin at the time, is because he had made it a way for us to use non-recurring funds to hire teachers. And so when you see people being let go today, which is heart-wrenching, that should have never been allowed. This current board actually passed a policy that says now we cannot do that. We will not hire teachers on non-recurring funds. What a thought. So that's why that had to happen. I don't think we're sitting here today with anything that's up our sleeves to do the first meeting. Yeah.
Listen, I pretty much going to tell you how it is. We all agree that board meeting is going back to 6 o'clock at night. No matter who gets elected, it's going to happen. So that's a good thing. The other thing is, no, we shouldn't. I'm definitely against firing a superintendent because we have to start all over again. He's done some great work. He's done the anti-vaping thing that he's piloting down in Northport, which is a huge program that happened pretty quickly for a government entity, quite frankly. And secondly, in all fairness, he did jump on that School of Hope program right away and put a stop to it. So, in all fairness, no, I do not see any reason. And if somebody wanted to do that, I would fight very, very hard to make sure we did not do that. Thank you, sir.
And Megan, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I feel the community is behind our superintendent, and the momentum that we have moving forward with all of our schools and all of our programs does not warrant any crazy change of leadership at that level. What I would like to do, is in agreement with everybody else, is make those meetings more accessible, but also rejoin the Florida State Association of School Boards so that we are actively collaborating with all of the other school boards in our state. And that gives us some advocacy work that we can do at the state level as well.
Deb Hayes, Tiger Baster. This is for Mr. Dicicco. On the campaign trail, you have said that the budget of the school district is really confusing and needs more transparency. And you've also stated that you could find money in the budget to fix the district problems. Would you please tell us where you might find such dollars and how much would you expect to find?
So, thank you. What I think the first thing is that budget is very hard to read. I printed it out, it's 384 pages, and it's a 3-inch binder, and it is really difficult. So when you look through it, there is a lot of repetitive costs. So my goal would be, since I'm not a CFO of a billion-dollar company, and nobody on the board or running is either, is to have someone look at that and say, where can we cut waste? Because we only need to pull off my school supply initiative, $1.5 to $2 million, literally 1/10 of 1%. It can be done. So yes, I would definitely be able to champion that. I worked for a big Fortune 500 company. I wasn't their CFO, but I do know what cuts look like. And we don't have to cut essentials. There's things that can be cut. So I hope I answered your question now. Thank you.
Is it okay for somebody else to answer
That was directed, I think I want to get to the end of the line.
Carol Lerner, I'm Director of Support Our Schools. This is for all our candidates. We've talked about the budget a lot. A new budget is about to come out. One thing that we do know, we are going to have a hit because a new charter school is opening up. A charter school that is managed by a for-profit company, a very aggressive and one of the largest, not only in Florida, but in our nation. I know that school boards really cannot have direct impact on the state legislature, which makes a lot of these policies. But we do have lobbyists, and as individuals, that you can lobby. What would be your priority for our lobbying team at Sarasota County Schools? And what would you personally lobby for to make Sarasota schools even stronger?
Okay, I'm going to go reverse order. So, Megan, go ahead.
Yes. I would personally lobby for the income cap to be put back on our voucher system, a tracking system so that we can know exactly where those students are and what schools and organizations that money is being sent to, as well as some guidelines for how that money can be used. And yes, we are facing so many budget things and it is confusing, so this is where I go back to my teaching roots. You probably can't see this book, but I'm diving into smarter budgets and smarter schools, how to survive and thrive in tight times. So that is where we need to go. We need to think outside of the box and really work together as a team. And as Frank said, I'm sure there is waste. Let's find it, let's get rid of it.
Okay, Frank, go ahead.
So I have to agree with Megan on that. She's absolutely correct. But one thing is that we do have lobbyists, support people that would help us through the school board. And if any of you have ever been to Tallahassee, it's a beautiful city. I love going up there. I would want to be a part of that. I would want to go up there and meet with our legislatures to have them help us, because I don't like the idea of a for-profit school coming in here, taking our students, and then them getting paid from our school budget money. I just don't like that. So again, income caps will put a huge pause on what's going on with that. Thank you.
Beth.
Again, I think the revising of the voucher system is very, very important. I would not, I mean, we have not, to this point, the school board majority has not pushed back on anything that Tallahassee has decided to do. So I think we do need to use our lobbyists appropriately and make sure that what we want is important and put out there. I also think joining, as Megan had indicated, the Florida Association of School Boards gives us a little bit more lobbying power, but I also think we need to leverage our community, because you guys out there are going to be the ones that make the difference. We can do everything we can on our school board, but if our citizen in our community doesn't stand up and demand more from our legislature, we're not going to get it. Last year, we got this, from last year to this year, we got $85 more per child in our FEFP. That's less than 1%. I don't know about you guys, but I know it costs me a lot more than 1% more to fill my gas tank and my refrigerator. So we're going to need all of y'all to stand up.
Michelle.
Thank you, Carol, for the question. There's a couple of things I want to touch on with the budgeting portion. First of all, I have been actively lobbying all of our legislators in Tallahassee, even in DC, which is why DeSantis signed great legislation that allows school board members to go in and request with staff a line item budget. This is the first tool we need when we're sworn in the first day in office, is to be able to pull line items. But what you need to know is that this school district has gone 2 years now with the finance committee not meeting in our district. That cannot happen. That is how we get our information, so I would demand that they start meeting. When you're talking about other things legislatively, I'll just let you know this. Guys, there's a statistic that came out that says we are getting double the amount of children into the state of Florida, and none of them are choosing public school. That is a huge issue. We've got to look at why that is. Why are you coming here from, I'm sorry, a blue state to this beautiful red state and still not choosing public schools? We've got to make sure that we're making it accessible, that it's attractive for people. The last thing I'll tell you is this. We need individual learning plans, which I think you'll see from the state on down, which allows us to give children all a trajectory to succeed. I think you're also going to see, again, with this Mississippi miracle that we want to do here in Florida, we'll see us be able to grab that learning, that fun that happens right there at third grade with third grade learning. We'll hopefully be able to correct that.
Okay, Shirley.
Yes, Shirley Brown, former school board member and Tiger Bay member for a long time. I just wanted to clarify one thing about the nonpartisan school board races. Nonpartisan school board races is not about the candidates. We don't care what party you are, and Barbara Ford Coates and I got that on the ballot. That is so that all of the voters can vote, regardless of what their party is. All voters can vote for school board members now. And I think that's a good thing, and I would definitely fight if you try to bring that back. You talked about the budget increasing and all of that, but you know, have you looked at it's increasing because we have in our budget private school students and home school students, they go through our budget. So do all of the charter schools. And people look at our budget and they would say, this is what you're doing, you know, we want you to fix this, fix that. But we have no way to look at what nor accountability for those people that have those dollars that are the private schools and even the private charter schools that are out of the district. When I was on the board, we tried to say that there was only local charter schools, but now they're private for-profit charter schools, and they're all private for-profit private schools. So how do you account? How is there accountability there? Where can the parents go to know that those dollars are being spent correctly?
Thank you. You go ahead.
Thank you, Shirley. I brought that up before. I'm not happy with the fact that we don't have a mechanism to track where this money is going, and I really do want to find out, because when I tried to look, I couldn't find anything. And as a candidate, I thought that having people help me look would do any better. Nobody can find anything. So, with that being said, we cannot have that kind of money going out of our budget every single year, because let's call it what it is. There are people who do know how to scam and money grab. And I'm not saying, I'm not accusing, don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, when you have accountability, when you have checks and balances, we can put a stop to that. No one can tell me how the money comes back if somebody changes their mind after 3 weeks of having their kids being homeschooled, like, well, this really sucks, maybe they should go back to school. Where's that money come back to us? And I honestly, Shirley, I mean, I don't have an answer, just like you don't.
Okay, Megan.
I mean, we're all kind of rehashing the same subject over and over again. It just comes back to, we want a government from Tallahassee that supports public education, and a lot of us feel we're not getting it right now. And we really felt it when that income cap was taken off, because it opened up the scholarship, and I use that term loosely, to everybody. And when that money is available to everybody, it is no longer a scholarship. A scholarship is need-based. So that money needs to go to students who need it, not just because somebody was already attending a private school, could afford it, and their private entity decided, oh, look, you qualify for this voucher, we can charge tuition on top of that, here we go. I think that might be the grifting that Frank was referring to, and what all of us want is accountability, meaning put the income cap back on, make clear guidelines, and a tracking system that allows that money to quickly come back if it's no longer being used in the school it was intended for.
Okay, Beth and Michelle, and we're covering the same point multiple times, so just anything new in 10 seconds.
I would say we're paying $110 million last year to the company that administers those vouchers, and that money is not coming to public education.
Michelle.
Yes, so when you talk about need-based, I would like somebody in this audience to tell me what determines need. Because I talk to parents every day, it might not be a financial need, but there was definitely a need for them to transition for whatever reason out of our schools, out of our public schools. I'm an advocate for parental rights. I believe that the parent is the one who's in charge of what their educational outlook looks like for their child. I'll never infringe on that, and actually when I take my oath of office, because of the way the laws are here in Florida, I shouldn't want to be against that, but here's what I'll say. And to Shirley, I know you talk about partisan elections. Listen, there's a very easy fix to allow independents to be able to vote in school board elections. What I'm saying is that in the heart of transparency, there's no reason why we should have parties that are backing us and putting us on their website, but the voter doesn't know that. If you want true accountability and true transparency in our district, and you want to build the trust of the community, let them know. Because I'm going to be honest with you, this is not going to be terribly favorable in this. But the way you get Democrats elected in Sarasota to a school board is you don't tell people they're Democrats. That's not fair.
Next question.
Hi, I'm Paulina Testman, and I have children from Sarasota County Schools attending currently. I think one of the most important things for me as a voter is to know that candidates and elected officials have a dog in the fight, and I think sending your children to public schools is one of the most important parts of this. Ms. Mayberry has made it clear, Mr. Dicicco has made it clear, their children attended their schools, and Mrs. Tennimon did. But Mrs. Pozzie, I've noticed, has changed her messaging based on her audience. I'd like some real specific clarity on how many schools your children attended that are public, traditional public schools versus charter schools, and how many years were they homeschooled?
I will be happy to. First, when I drove the educational outcomes for my children, we didn't have a voucher program, so I did it at the expense of my family and our budget. I will tell you, my son started in Manatee County, where I was the president of the PTO when he attended there. As soon as we moved to Sarasota County, my son attended Cranberry Elementary School. My daughter attended Imagine in Northport, Imagine School in Northport. I chose at one point or other to homeschool both of them. They did early learning, dual enrollment. My son did that at State College of Florida. My daughter did early college. I'll be happy to tell you, since you've asked, my son obtained his Bachelor of the Arts at the age of 20. My daughter said, here, hold my chocolate milk. She went and did it at the age of 18. You know me, Paulina, I'm not some master educator. All I did was take the framework off to say, kids, if you want to fly, go fly. And I'm telling you, that's what people have an appetite for these days in education. They just want that right. There's nobody better that understands that can empathize with that, and that can find a solution that makes our district really competitive.
Can you answer that question more clearly? How many years your children are homeschooled?
We're just going to move on. All right, we're at 1:10. Folks, I'm going to try to get you out of here between 1:15 and 1:20. I want to get through the line, though. I want to get those students in the back. So, next question.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on here today. My name is Leonie Suglas, and I'm a former teacher in the county, and I have a rising senior coming up in this academic year. And this question is actually from her. So this is a student's voice. She was very determined to have this question answered today. I'd like to direct it to Beth, Ms. Mayberry, but if we have time for others to answer it as well. How will you handle community pressure or political rhetoric that targets classroom teachers that has resulted in teacher self-censorship and dumbing down the curriculum?
This is a major problem. Our kids, or our teachers, feel very intimidated. They've already mostly gotten rid of all of their classroom libraries because of the book banning concerns. They're very concerned about what they say in classes. And I think a lot of that came from our current majority school board. Those people have intimidated our teachers. So I think we need to stand up for the rights of our teachers. I think I was a teacher, so I'm going to protect our teachers. And we need to make sure that it's clear that they have the same freedoms of the right to speak, the right to teach, the right to use the curriculum that is approved in an appropriate manner with their students, and that they're not going to get a lot of heat for that. And I think we need to open up our board to hearing from our teachers, because right now teachers complain to their PLCs or their SDMTs, and that goes to their principals, and a lot of times nobody ever hears about the problem later. So I think part of it is transparency, but also part of it is making sure that we stand by our teachers, because I don't think that the teachers feel necessarily that they have been supported.
Okay, we're going to move quickly.
I'm a Booker High student, and I can just say personally, one of my favorite teachers actually was laid off this year, and he had to move to a private school. And so my main question would be, how are you going to balance the budget without hurting students' education?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, towards everybody.
That's for everybody, or?
Yeah, it's another budgetary question. We kind of covered a lot of it. If you just have anything different.
Just real quick. 384 pages. If you look through it, you'll see there's a lot of areas we can cut ways to not cut teachers. I'm against cutting teachers. I worked in corporate America for years, and I watched really good employees lose their jobs because they fell below a red line that somebody came up with. So now, I think we need to look strong and hard at that and cut other areas, with that being the last resort.
I want to tell you that I think our current school board did a great job by making sure that we have a policy that never again allows for people to be hired on non-recurring funds. I'm sorry that that's happened. When you make that connection with an educator, and unlike my opponent, I think educators are more than just those that teach in a classroom. I mean, dance instructors, football coaches, people that work as paraprofessionals. So I apologize for that, but I think what we can do going forward in your vested interest is to just not allow that to happen. happen again.
86% of our general budget goes to teachers and their benefits. So the cost of benefits is rising, the cost of employing our teachers is rising. So I would love to say we're never going to do that. But the reality is, if we're not getting more money from Tallahassee, we may actually have to do that. So that's going to mean that we're going to have to get together as a community and decide what those priorities are going to be. Because if we don't have the money for the teachers we have, and we aren't getting more students, so we're not getting more money, it's certainly something that could be in our future, as much as I hate to think about that. So.
And Megan, lightning quick.
All right, your students. I love having students on my team. Work with us. Please push back to Tallahassee. Tell them to stop paying teachers 50th in the country. We can do this together.
Hi, my name is Kennedy Clem, also a student at Booker High School. My question is really quick. One, are you proud of what our board majority has done over the past 4 years? And two, if you were to wake up tomorrow and it was August 23rd, 2022, would you vote for a ZEM ticket? A yes or no answer from all the candidates discussed.
You can answer or not answer.
No and no.
Are you proud of what our school board majority has done over the past 4 years? And if you were to wake up tomorrow and it was August 23rd, 2022 again, would you vote for the ZEM ticket?
I'm proud of the gains that we've made academically. That's because of our current school board, and I work on the ZEM campaign, so yes.
Yes, I am proud of what the board has done. However, I want to preface it, I don't like some of the things that have happened on the board either. So that's a very, very wide range question. So for the good things, yes, of course I'm proud of good things. I'm not happy with bad things. But it's a question like that that's hard to answer. And as for the Zen thing, yeah, I definitely was for that when it happened, and that's how I voted, and I'm proud of it. I have no regrets on it because that's what I did, I'm being honest with you.
Megan.
I would not vote for the ZEM ticket. I did not vote for the ZEM ticket. There are things that have happened that I am proud of, and I will go back to the saving of our schools when schools of hope came in, and I am not proud of the attention that our school board majority has garnered in the last 4 years.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Hello, my name is Sebastian. I'm a Booker High School graduate. I'm also the chair of Booker High School's SAC committee, and one of the things that came up was the past and how we should move on. And Frankie did mention that this election is a chance to start anew, which I think is much, much needed. And since 2022, we've hired Superintendent Dr. Asplin, we redistricted our school district maps for worse maps, cut meetings times. We cut meetings from 2 times a month to once a month, and moved them from 6 p.m. to 10 a.m. We removed protections against discrimination against LGBTQ+ students and introduced this toothless ICE resolution, which resulted in much, much, much misinformation because of a lack of communication from the school district and a lack of clarity. And Ms. Pozzie, you campaigned with current board members like Ms. Marinelli and had Bridget Ziegler speaking for you at some of your campaign events. Should Sarasota voters vote to elect more of the same firebrand governing style of Bridget Ziegler, Robin Marinelli, and Karen Rose? And in regards to the ICE resolution, what would you have done differently?
I mean, quite honestly, Sebastian, I'm going to say you're one of the most eloquent speakers that ever comes to our school board meetings. To watch you sort of grow up there has been amazing. So thank you for the question. I would have to turn the question back to you and say, would you consider voting for more of the chaos that we've had from a mask mandate by Tom Edwards, gender guidelines that people never voted on, an ICE threat at a political rally that he went to, and then talked about how he was afraid ICE was coming into our schools. I mean, do you understand what kind of culture that creates?
Actually, I'm going to intervene. We're not going to have a back and forth. We're just going to hit the last
To finish, I don't agree with everybody at 100% of the time. But am I 100% conservative, and do I want to fix the issues in the school board? Absolutely.
So I think that when we originally, when they were originally voted in, people did not realize how extremist they were. And I would say that my opponent is showing just exactly how extremist she will be if she gets elected.
Sebastian, thank you for the question. I think that you've seen me speak enough to know that nobody's going to tell me what to do. I don't care if somebody likes it or not. If I think it's best for students, parents, and teachers, that's just not a buzzword. This is how I am. I'm not doing this to go fly some whatever. I'm not doing this for the wrong reasons, guys. All I'm saying is this. Yes, If I get elected to that board, I'm going to work with whoever else is on that board, majority, minority, whatever, so that we can get through the things that I want. I will tell you this, we are going to move those meetings back because that was not okay. And I don't think anybody's going to vote against us having the elimination of parents having to buy school supplies, regardless of what side you're on, because that benefits everyone. Thank you.
And Megan, really.
Yes, so I think it's really important. We keep talking about the mask mandate. That was to protect teachers. We kept our schools open. We had remote. You were able to go to school with a mask. You could have a mask exemption. End of story. We kept our schools closed and we protected our teachers, and I'm proud of that.
Okay.
Also,
I got to do the last question. We're way over time here. Go ahead.
I'll do it quick. Hi, my name is Nicole Volkevich. I attend public college here in Sarasota County. Something I've touched on extensively during my attendance at Sarasota County School Board meetings is the ways in which private schools and some charter schools can discriminate against disabled students. I myself am a disabled student. I have memory issues, that kind of stuff. I want to know what will you guys be doing if elected to hold these schools accountable if they neglect disabled students in Sarasota County while gaining taxpayer dollars?
Megan, I'm going to start with you. Last question here.
okay, yes, so this is a topic that has come up a lot. If our schools are accepting public funds, they should not be allowed to reject a student based on academic needs, an IEP, or anything of that nature. And if that is happening from a publicly funded charter school, then that will be addressed at the board level.
Frank.
I agree with Megan on that. I would not tolerate that. There's no excuse for that happening, and I would encourage, if I'm elected, people can call me, and I am very accessible. I enjoy talking to people. I would want to get in front of that right away, because that's not okay.
We know that happens already. We are already seeing it. So addressing that is, and we don't really have any control. If we don't change things, and again, it comes down from Tallahassee, changing the rules and making sure it's a fair playing field. If we don't change that, our public schools are going to be educating kids with very expensive needs, and all of the public or the private schools and for-profit charters will be taking the cream of the crop that don't cost as much to educate. So,
And Michelle.
Well, I think all students are the cream of the crop, but what I will say is this would probably be a very interesting and quick legislative fix. So if either yourself or other young people want to work together to try to do that, I would be more than happy. There's no harm in trying, right? The other thing I wonder is if we could also look at the possibility of having schools that are specifically, whether they're charter or private, that address the needs, so that if their parent does choose to use these funds to go because they have a disability, maybe we can have really good schools that cater to that, but I would be more than happy to work with you on that.
Frank, Megan, Beth, Michelle, nice job. Thank you. Round of applause. We're done. Thanks, Megan.
Thank you so much.